It's time to explore your Racine Zoo, a nationally recognized zoo with more than 100 species of animals on Racine's majestic lakefront. This is Safari Saturday. Here's your host, Jungle J. Christie.
Jambo, everyone, and welcome to Safari Saturday on WRJN. Starting right now, let's get you closer than ever to the Racine Zoo. I'm your host, Jungle J. Christie, ready to guide you through all the latest news, upcoming events, and conservation initiatives from the wild place we know as your Racine Zoo. Join us as we explore the adventure right in your own backyard. My co-host again today is Gianna O'Keefe, who's the Marketing and Resource Development Manager at the Racine Zoo. Good morning, Gianna.
Good morning, Jungle J.
Well, it's been a busy couple of weeks at the zoo, hasn't it? A lot of activity. So I don't remember seeing so many school groups before in the month of June, and lots of things to get excited about, of course, not the least of which being Barnyard Safari. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a ton of people at the zoo during the week, and it's, filling up fast. Like you said, a lot of little ones on school field trips and enjoying the playground and the barnyard, and it's just a flurry of wonderful activity.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now we have a special guest on the phone today, and this is timely because the Racine Zoo hosted Racine's version of Relay for Life earlier this month, and we once again had a tremendous outpouring of support from the community. Really such an uplifting experience to see everyone come together in support of family, friends, neighbors, even strangers with cancer, and what better place than the serene lakeside setting that is the Racine Zoo. Now, I don't think this is, a lot of people know this, but one of our animal care staff, or in fact our entire animal care staff, was also rallying together earlier this year in support of a friend with cancer, although, and a two-legged cancer survivor, but not a human one. Rather, our red kangaroo, Suli, was diagnosed with cancer in January. Today we've got on the phone our lead macropod specialist, Angie Kutchery. Angie, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, how did you come to find out that Suli had cancer?
We were doing a routine physical exam. So each animal at the zoo gets a physical from our consulting vet, Dr. Kevin Nelson, at least once a year. So while they're doing those checkups, he checks their eyes, their ears, inside their mouth, takes a blood sample, all of that stuff. And then because macropods are special and have a pouch, we also have to check inside of their pouch. So while we were doing that, we found a mass inside of her pouch. So we took samples of that, and the test results indicated that it was a carcinoma.
Mm. Well, what types of decisions needed to be made at that point? Is this similar to some of the struggles that a human diagnosed with cancer would be up against?
Yeah, I do think it is probably very similar, with a couple differences, of course. All of the decisions that we had to make about Suli's treatment were based on how it would ultimately affect Suli. So we had a couple options. On that first day, we kind of had to decide if we were going to go forward and try to remove the tumor, which after the first day, we ended up having to do another exam to kind of check on things again. It had grown each time we ended up doing another exam. So it was progressively getting bigger. Or we had to make the decision that since it was growing so fast that we would end up putting her through too much stress, and then the risks would be too high of trying to actually take it out. So we kind of had to weigh our options and go through those decisions, and for us, we kind of had to decide what would be best for Suli, since she can't really let us know what she's thinking or what she's feeling. Because of this, I do think it is similar to humans, that they would have to decide which choice is going to be best for them. Sometimes the riskier option, you sometimes get the better results. However, in the case of humans, most of the patients are actually able to make the final call about which treatment they want. In our case, we kind of have to decide that for her. So I sometimes feel it's a little bit harder, and it sometimes weighs a little bit heavier on us because we don't necessarily we want to know what's best for them, but we don't necessarily know exactly what the best choice is going to be. So we have to take all of that stuff into consideration and decide how to proceed.
Right now, you guys, all our animal care specialists, you spend so much time with them, and, you make observations about them and make sure that they continue to be healthy. Did you see any visible signs, or was this like a total surprise to you that, learning that she had the carcinoma?
Yeah, in fact, we didn't see any external signs from her. She had been acting normal the weeks prior and everything like that. And since it was inside of her pouch, it was hard to actually, you couldn't visibly see it from the outside. So it was one that I think we were very lucky. I don't think that the outcome would have been what it is now if her exam would not have been scheduled for that day.
Wow. And then to have to make a decision on her behalf has got to been, one of the toughest things you've ever had to do. What did you end up deciding to move forward with?
We ended up deciding that we wanted to try to remove the tumor. Going into surgery knowing that at any time throughout that, we might have to stop, reassess, and kind of decide how to proceed at that time. So if in the middle of surgery we found that the mass had grown even more, or it was starting to kind of take on some of her other organs or things like that, we might have to stop what we were doing and decide if this, in fact, was the best course of action. But we did want to try and see if we would be able to remove everything in that surgery.
To your knowledge, has this type of surgery ever been executed successfully before on a kangaroo?
From my knowledge, I do not think so. However, I'm not 100% sure. With this procedure, Dr. Nelson consulted with other vets and other kangaroo specialists, and from what we had found from that, the information that we got back was that generally this type of cancer was basically found too late. So it was either to the point where surgery wouldn't necessarily be an option, or it was found after the animal had already passed away from this cancer. So we are not sure if anyone has actually been able to successfully remove the tumor.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, I can't imagine, having to go through that. Is it typical for animal care specialists to be present, during the procedure and kind of keeping her calm, or, or your emotional state of mind? Was it just easier for you not to be there? How did you handle that whole thing?
I do prefer to actually be there. It is emotional. That day was one of the most emotional for many of us. But I find that it helps me to kind of know what's going on and to be there for it and actually be able to watch what's going on. And it eases my mind a little bit. So if I wouldn't have been there, even though Dr. Nelson and anyone else that had been present that day had said that they successfully removed all of the tumor, there might have still been that doubt in my mind of if they actually did. Mm-hmm. But since I was present and able to watch the whole thing and be there for it and that sort of thing, it helped me ease my mind, and I think it helped me deal with what was going on. And I also think it helps for the aftercare.
Sure.
So I knew what he did. I knew everything that went on, and it kind of helps me know what to look for in her recovery process. So the vet isn't always there to be watching her after that. So then because I was present during the surgery, I was able to know what things I should be looking for or where she might be sore or what things might be affecting her ability afterwards and that sort of thing. So I think it ends up helping. It helps me, I think, take better care of the animals that I'm caring for when I am present for things like that.
Well, that makes sense. Did you ever think that maybe she wasn't going to make it at any point during the procedure?
When we were actually doing the surgery, there were not any kind of panic modes or anything like that where we were scared we were going to lose her in the moment. I don't think if we did the surgery, I don't think she would have made it. The surgery or the cancer probably would have eventually taken her life. After the surgery, however, when she was recovering. Her initial recovery from the surgery took almost 24 hours. So from the time that she was anesthetized to start her surgery and the time that she was fully awake and kind of back to normal was almost 24 hours. So the first 10 hours were spent keeping her warm, checking her vitals, making sure that everything was kind of still progressing the way it should. And then also we have to make sure that obviously she's laying down when she's waking up. So we want to make sure that her organs aren't under too much pressure. So we have to roll her physically onto her other side so to kind of alleviate some of the pressure from whichever side she was laying on. So that's kind of what the first 10 hours after surgery were like for the animal care staff. We were doing all of those things, and we were with her almost that whole time. But then after that first 24 hours, we at least knew that she had recovered from the surgery, but I still think that we knew that at any time things could go downhill. At any time for us, I think our minds were always prepped for the worst possible outcome and kind of that things could still not progress in a positive way. There's still, at any chance now, could still be the chance that we would have to make a different decision.
If you're just joining us, this is Safari Saturday on WRJN. I'm your host, Jungle J. Christie, with Gianna O'Keefe, and we've got our own Angie Kutchery from the Conservation and Animal Care Department at the Racine Zoo talking to us today about a really unusual surgery conducted on a kangaroo. Is it safe to say, Angie, then, that her pouch was ultimately removed as part of the surgery?
It is. She was left with a little tiny belly button, and that's about it. So we basically had to end up removing her whole pouch. The cancer was in her mammary glands, which for kangaroos and wallaroos and any other marsupials, their mammary glands are actually inside of their pouch because that's where the young will spend, in a red kangaroo's case, almost the first 235 days of their life is inside of that pouch. Oh. So for her, when we went in to remove the tumor and take out what we needed to take out, it ended up being the case that we needed to take out basically her whole pouch to make sure that we got everything, any of the bad tissue and any of the bad cells out. So, yeah, for her, we ended up taking all of it out.
How long did that surgery take?
The surgery took, I want to say, about 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
So it was not too long, but it ended up, it was probably about 2 hours from start to by the time Dr. Nelson was done with the surgery. But then, like I said before, it took her a long time to wake up.
Do kangaroos need a pouch to live a normal life?
In most cases, I would say that kangaroos probably do. If a kangaroo does not have a pouch, that means it wouldn't successfully be able to carry and raise a joey. For Suli, though, this should not be a problem. To have a joey, you would need a male kangaroo around, and we do not have a male kangaroo at the Racine Zoo, and we have no plans as of right now to be getting a male kangaroo. So, because of that, Suli should not need her pouch to live a normal life.
Do male kangaroos have a pouch?
Male kangaroos do not have a pouch.
You know, if I was a male kangaroo, I'd be really bummed about not having a pouch.
Oh, how do you continue from there? But, well, that's interesting, though. I mean, a lot of, you didn't know that, and how old is she and how much longer do you think, she can be cancer-free and live a normal life?
Yeah, right now, she is 17. She was 16 when we found the cancer, but during her recovery process, she turned 17. And she's on the old side. So she is kind of getting up there in age. That was one thing that weighed into our decision-making process with all of this, is taking her age into account. Is this something that is actually going to be beneficial, or are we putting her through too much stress at her age? Kangaroos, in the highest recorded age in captivity, is about 27, so she could have another 10 years of life. Again, that being the highest recorded, it's not the average, so she would probably live a few years less than that. In the wild, however, they only live about 20 years.
And her prognosis is good?
Her prognosis right now is pretty good. We know that right now she's on a schedule to have rechecks about every 3 months. At any time, though, we know that this cancer has the potential to come back. So that's why she's kind of on the 3-month plan. So every 3 months, we'll kind of take a check and make sure that everything still looks good. For her also, she also has arthritis in her spine, so that also causes her some difficulty getting up and down, and sometimes walking around she struggles a little bit. We haven't noticed any signs of pain with any of that, but that also then might weigh into her prognosis for the future as to if that starts to get worse as well. We might have to make decisions based on that. So for right now, she is doing good. She's enjoying her life back out in the exhibit with the rest of the red kangaroos, but I still think we all know, and all in the back of our minds are thinking that we are kind of mentally preparing for the time that we might need to make a difficult decision.
Oh my God. Well, until then, we're going to look for, if anyone out there has a kangaroo size Live Strong armband, please donate it to Suli, because she certainly deserves something for her battle. Can we talk a little bit about the emotional aspect of things? I mean, you guys are so close to these animals, and I don't think a lot of times the general public understands just how involved you are and how much you do. You know, we only see a certain piece of it, you know, whether you're in the exhibit cleaning up or running around with food. We don't actually understand that you are the primary caregivers for all of these animals, and that encompasses a lot. What have you learned from this whole experience?
I think the biggest thing that I learned is that animals can surprise us. Just like I'm sure that a lot of people have pets, they might do things that are always surprising, but in this instance, for sure, I think Suli surprised all of us. Dr. Nelson's initial thoughts on surgery day were that she might not make it more than 2 weeks. So I think the biggest thing that I learned is that she proved us all wrong. And animals do that all the time, I think. I think we sometimes, not that we don't give them enough credit, but I think they generally are going to prove us wrong. That she had a lot of fight in her. She did well almost from the beginning. She was eating the next day, and she was in it. She was kind of proving to us that she was going to beat this. So I think that was one of the biggest things. And then also that what we were capable of doing. During the surgery and through all of this, I was just astonished and amazed and proud to be a part of what we were doing. Again, since we talked about that, not a lot of places have caught the cancer early enough where they were able to do something like this. It was amazing to see this and to be there, to be watching it, to take part in it, to help when was needed, and then to be there for the aftercare as well, and to kind of help Suli through that and make sure that we were still making the right decisions and noting the different things that we were seeing afterwards and all of that. I think all of that, what we were able to do during that whole experience, I think taught me that as a whole and as a group at the Racine Zoo, we can do some pretty amazing things.
It sounds like it. Just one quick last observation. I mean, especially after just completing Relay for Life at the zoo, you know, it had special meaning to all of you. But, you know, do you think that Suli's story can definitely motivate some humans that might be going through something similar, that if she can make it without her pouch, that, you know, maybe someone battling breast cancer or, you know, in a similar situation would be able to fight a little bit harder, you know, after hearing her story?
I do. Yeah, I do think that it can be very motivational and very inspirational for other humans. It's a similar case. I mean, like I said, the main difference is just that as the primary caretakers, we're the ones that kind of have to make the decisions for them. But in the human's case, they are making the decisions as to how they want their care to go and that sort of thing. And I think that because Suli came through on top on this one, and even though she doesn't have a pouch, she's still enjoying the same things that she was enjoying before all of this. She's still grazing in the grass with the other kangaroos and enjoying the sun and enjoying all of those same things that she enjoyed before, even without a pouch. So, I mean, I think we can take that aspect of it from her story and kind of humans, it's going to be the same sort of thing. So even if you are suffering from breast cancer, that sort of thing, life is going to, I think, go on as hopefully as easily or as amazingly as it was before, just maybe without a small part of you. And it might not end up being as big of a deal as it once was.
Angie, thank you so much for joining us today. And more importantly, thanks for all the hard work that you and the rest of the animal care team invest in our animal collection 365 days a year. It sounds like your job is not without some really tremendous emotional challenges, but would you still say at the end of the day that you probably have the best job in the world?
I would probably still say that I have one of the best jobs on earth, yes.
Okay, we've got that on tape.
Yep.
Angie, thanks again. Have a super Saturday today.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Angie.
Thank you.
If you're just joining us, this is Safari Saturday on WRJN, and I'm your host, Jungle J. Christie, with Gianna O'Keefe. Well, it was really a remarkable story about the perseverance of one very special zoo animal, wasn't it, Gianna?
Yeah, it just goes to show that, cancer doesn't discriminate whether you're human or animal. So interesting stories for sure.
I'm reminded we're actually in the height of our spring appeal, which is the occasion where zoo supporters far and wide can contribute to the zoo's operations. If you haven't received your card in the mail, don't feel in any way slighted. We'll still gladly accept your support. Can people go to the website if they want to make a donation to the zoo?
Absolutely. We have a brand new website in case you haven't visited us yet. It's racinezoo.org. And there's a special place on there where we list how you can support the zoo. A lot of people don't have funds, so we list other ways of helping, whether it's volunteering or donating enrichment items, toilet paper rolls and things like that. Or if you have a little extra, you can definitely donate some monetary funds to the zoo. You can tell us how you'd like us to use them, or it could just be a general donation as well. And I think, the radio show is a great platform for us to kind of let you know just the types of things that we're doing that your money goes to support.
Yeah, that's all true. It remains accurate to say that Racine wouldn't have a zoo at all. It certainly wouldn't have a zoo of the caliber of the one it does have were it not for these really undesignated, unrestricted donations that we get throughout the year, but especially during our spring appeal as well as our fall appeal, that really give folks an opportunity to invest back in the zoo that has almost always provided them with some great memories over the course of their lives.
Jay, one of the fun programs that we offer that's raises money for the zoo is the Adopt an Animal program.
That's right.
And recently my children have adopted Bo the giraffe and Aslan the lion. And, you just get so much out of it. You feel, my daughter now thinks that she owns Bo, which, okay, whatever works for you. But it's just a fun way to educate your kids about the different animal species. And, as I mentioned, they feel like, they have some ownership in the animal as well. And there's different sponsorship levels, right, of Adopt memberships. And
there absolutely are. And there are different levels of membership. That's something we always remind people around the holidays. But as we're going into the height of our high season, I would remind people that they make a great birthday gift, really a great gift for just about any occasion. Of course, a membership always includes free admission for the entire year, invitation to special members-only events, discounts at our Zootique gift shop, for example, and off of education programs.
Well, and most importantly, you don't have to wait in line.
Oh, that's a great point. Express entry. And of course, reduced, if not free, admission to, probably over 120 accredited zoos and aquariums throughout North America, too. So not just a great value at our Racine Zoo, but a great value when you're traveling or vacationing around the U.S. and Canada.
Mm-hmm. And, if you're a business out there, if you're just getting started or, want some extra awareness out in the community, we have a lot of fantastic corporate partners that we work with, SC Johnson, Johnson Bank, Twin Disc, North Shore Bank, and I could go on and on and on. And so we have a lot of really creative opportunities to partner with us and have some mutual benefits on that.
That's all true, and of course, more information always available on our website, racinezoo.org. Well, I think that just about brings to an end another edition of Safari Saturday on WRJN with me, Jungle J. Christie, and Gianna O'Keefe. Thanks for tuning in this week. Until next time, we'll see you at your Racine Zoo.
Catch us each week at this time as we explore our Racine Zoo. This has been Safari Saturday with host Jungle J. Christie. Thanks for listening.